coming up is the stormwater database. We have Patrick Otsuji, is the data steward of that system. Its acronym is SMARTS, and it stands for Stormwater Multiple Application and Report Tracking System.
Thank you, Greg.
So what is SMARTS? Basically, the name of the system is a report tracking platform. Historically, we use report for internal staff to track, the applications that come to the chargers. And of course, the mechanism for our regional board staff manage compliance information, so inspection and evaluation reports. Over the years, as in general, from our general purpose will be adopted, there is an electronic reporting component put into each of them. So starting with construction, to industrial, phase 2, small equipment, but so reflecting all that data electronically now. The main purpose of SMART is a reporting, basically. In Greg's presentation, he showed you data that was collected from the SMART system. We collect invoice data, so build out the system to start to keep track of the payments, for payment information as far as how much money was taken from other reports that Greg had mentioned, like the performance reports page, we have inspection and violation data there. That we can come from the SMART system to identify our one of the requirements we have in our reporting system is processing data on the reporting system. What that basically does is you have to be able to validate the data that's submitted by a person to be able to identify that person. Part of the requirements is the user account sign up for registration. Pretty stringent. We have to have a unique user ID, unique password. We don't get submit any documents in our system. It's to help validate the right person. Still loading. And of course, it's internet-based right now. It's only formatted for Microsoft Internet Explorer 11. We are working to update it so that other documents will work. So what is tracking SMARTS? Again, I've already mentioned some of the programs, the construction general permit, industrial, phase 2, and some regional permits. Throughout all the permits, it's pretty common what we track. There's the initial residential application submitted by dischargers. The application has information about who the discharger is, the facility information. One of the key deals for us now is monitoring. That's going to allow us to start mapping some of these facilities, maybe associated with data that we're submitting with watershed potentially. So that's all the information that we're getting. Started with the construction permit in 2010. Industrial is brand new, so that they're recently submitted. Some of the other data we're collecting is annual report information. Each year, dischargers have to submit an annual report. Basically, a narrative requirements in answering, self-certifying that they complied with the permit over the last year. And if they didn't, answering the reason why. And of course, we call them ad hoc monitoring reports, but that's where dischargers submit their water quality or their sampling data to the system. And then the last goal I have down there, I mentioned this about the compliance data. All of our regional boards now in their inspection, violation, enforcement data to the SMART system associated with all of this. So what's available to the public or to humans? Like Greg mentioned earlier, everything is pretty much available to the public. You can go into our system to our stormwater public user page. You can look up discharges. You can see the stormwater plans that they submitted. You can open the plans. Most of them are in PDF format, so maybe Microsoft Word. You can open up. You can review the stormwater plan for the site to see what best management practices they implement on the site. The auditing all the requirements for the permit. Part of that submittal requirement is they have to have metrics for the site. So you can look at a facility to see the potential discharge plans and get that type of information. We have text file downloads, so metadata. So you have your own database of our stormwater data for construction industrial general permit available in tablet image format. You can download that. We have some canned reports that we developed on a program. We have some overview reports available. I'll go through one of those examples slide. But if you want to see the number of NOIs that were processed in a given time period, we have canned reports that you can go and search and do that. Okay, so to access the public information, this is a screenshot of our login page. Where you go, you don't have to have a user account. You can just simply click on that view SWs stormwater data and click that, which will take you to a main interface page. These are the list of the programs and types of reports that are available. What I'm going to demonstrate today is for the construction program, but you can click on any of those. If you're searching for, say, like a single facility, you want to know if your neighbor has permit coverage, it would be the first thing you would click on. There is a search screen there. You can enter in by address, city, zip code, you know, the facility name, search by their name. For the construction example, this is the construction program and the canned reports that we currently have. The one I'm going to highlight is the daily average parameter results. In the program when this first went live, we got a lot of questions, so I'm going to just demo that. Of course, there are other canned reports that are available. The raw data, if you want to know if the site has a SWRCB waiver, you can run that. For the construction permit, we classify sites by risk. There are 3 different risk levels for a site. So if you're looking for a risk level 3 sites, you can go in the country for risk level 3 and search, and they'll bring back to the screen. You can either export from Excel or just do one. Okay, so for the daily average reports, most of our camera reports have a search criteria that you enter. It's very similar to what Tom said. This is our interface system. Again, you can enter in some of the fields or all of the fields or just a single field to run the search. One of the, my hints to you if you use this interface is start with less for criteria. This is pretty specific in how you search. So start with less, get to your results, and add in different criteria. What I selected for example is I want all the daily averages in our Sacramento Regional Board office for turbidity for the construction program for last report. And so on the screen is the results. If there were like 12, 13 pages of results, I cut it off so you can see it on the screen. But the results will give you the WDNE number, which is the current number for the discharger. The result, so this top line there, we had 155.3 MQ. That was over, it defines the storm event that they captured, so it's over 2 business days. So all this data is there. If you want to manipulate the data, highlighted that circle up there to export to Excel, press that button, it basically exports it in Excel format. You can save, upload, manipulate, upload, and access. This is just a copy of what it looks like or just what it looks like. So all the fields are sorted out so I can manipulate the data. So future data sets. I already mentioned industrial permit that had an electronic reporting requirement that became effective in July of 2015. So we're still getting data, and right now what we have is the notice of intent data or the application data for the dischargers. July 1st, we're going to get, or July 15th, we're going to get the first annual report due over the last couple months. Thankfully, they're raining a lot more, so dischargers should be submitting their monitoring reports to us. So we should have some of that data and that data going. One of the other areas we plan to bring into the smart system is the phase 1 large municipal permits. Right now, all of that is basically tracked by the regional board. They mentioned the CEDEN system. I think a lot of the data from the municipalities are coming into that system, or the regional boards just have their own filing system where they enter in and save them and get large municipal permits. The other trigger for us bringing in municipal permits is EPA's electronic order rule. If you're not familiar with that, they are in all of the states submit, or having dischargers submit a standard set of electronic data to the water board, but we will also transfer to it. I know there's a question earlier about consistency in fields. So although we, as a state board, may use certain terms and terminology or nomenclature, when we put it to EPA data set, we're going to do a mapping. So EPA data sets will have a defined set of fields and criteria to use for potentially all statewide or all U.S. And the other place we're putting the data, we mentioned earlier also, is the open data portal. We transferred our violation data right now to the GreenGov site. We also plan on transferring the industrial intent data and some other data sets from these programs. If you have any questions that I can't answer here, you can use it later. There's the contact information.
Let's keep moving. Are there any real burning questions? Okay, let's keep moving. So now we're going to talk research on using water rights, and we'll talk about the water rights. Okay, carry on.
Okay, one of the areas that you should be aware of is that water rights types and water rights statuses are linked. For instance, if you're searching for a statement, you can search for all statements and you'll get both claim statements and inactive statements. But if you're looking for just the statements that are in claim status, that is our active status, then you can choose statements and claimed. If you choose active, you'll get a 0 search result. The same thing with an appropriative water right. You can search for an appropriative water right, and you can search for those that are licensed, or you can search for those that are in permitted status or pending statuses. So those are the different methods in which you can search. So you can see there's a number of different capabilities for searching. You search by the primary owner. Caution you on that. By the primary owner, in a lot of cases, the primary owner isn't the person of record. For instance, the primary owner can be John Doe, and the record could be under JLC Ranches Limited. So you may not get the search result that you're looking for there. All right. Okay. Is that it there? Thought there was another slide that showed the. Okay. Well, what there's another slide, I think. Looks like it's muted. Okay, so once you enter, in this case, we're entering an application number, and you click the search button. It'll take you to the main search results screen, and the main search results screen, and it's kind of cut off there, but the first thing there is the application number. It'll also give you a permit ID or a license ID if it's licensed or permitted. If it's a statement, it will give you the statement number, and there will not be a permit or license ID, obviously, because they're not in that status. The water right type will show up there. This is appropriative in this case, and it's licensed. So for the results, if you click on the app ID, it will take you in and give you some specific information that we have in there, which will contain all the information on the application, short of the person's personal information, such as their address and phone number. It'll give you the information on PODs, points of diversion. It'll give you information on places of uses, and all the other information that we have that we contain in the database there. You can also click on the view reports. The other part of the system is the reporting system. By clicking on view reports, it'll take you into any reports that were submitted by this diverter, and you can view the information that they submitted at that point. On this strip here, it'll also give you, I believe, the face value of that water right specifically. In this case, it's 115 acre-feet. You can also download the information to an Excel spreadsheet by clicking on the Excel spreadsheet button on the far right-hand side there. And so in addition to that, you can also get into the reports management system. If you're filing a report, this is the location that you would go to, and it will take you to the main screen where if you have a user ID and password, your user ID is basically your application number, and the password is a password that we supply to you when the water right or statement is processed. There is good information on this page. You can also access the Water Rights Help Center at the bottom, and it'll take you back to the Help Center page where there's also samples of the different forms and the questions that are asked on those forms. So that's all I have for water rights. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Would the new diversion reporting requirements passed, do you think by the Data Innovation Challenge that information will be available?
Yes, we're working on that right now. SB 88 made some major changes, including measurement requirements. We're integrating those into the forms right now. They're not available at this time because most of the measurement requirements don't start until next year. So the forms that will be posted next year will have all of the measurement requirements for all of the different categories. So.
So the question is about the Data Innovation Challenge too. The Socrata platform will not have water rights data this round. We're hoping that next round we'll get their water rights, and maybe somewhere in between now and next year we can get the water rights data up there. But the water rights staff is extremely impacted, and so putting another burden on them was not something I wanted to do.
Is there a way to see individuals or organizations that have diverted more than their right entitles them to?
You can request the information from us. You can either send an email to erims.waterboards.ca.gov, or you can contact our main phone line at 916-341-5300, and you can request the information and we can do downloads. Not all the information is available on the public site, so you can't get a bulk download, but we can do downloads from our reporting pages and provide you with that information. So.
Yeah, are you associated effort looking at how many of your pre-14 riparians are actually now filing statements in diversion and use? In other words, there's always that previously the challenge that, you know, it was a relatively small number. Now it's obviously uptaking. Are you doing that field efforts to?
No, we are not going out in the field and to any extent. We have taken a look at certain areas for illegal ponds and illegal reservoirs, mostly on the north coastal side, where they basically looked at our GIS and spotted reservoirs where there wasn't a water right associated with it, and they would contact those people. So quite a few of those folks wound up filing a registration, and of course they have to file a statement until the registration's in place as well. But no, we just don't have staff to go out. And obviously a lot of people may be riparian, but if they're not diverting, they don't need to file a statement.
So thank you. We're going to have him at the station as well, so at the data fair part he can answer any more additional questions about water rights. Thank you, Bob, very much. All right, so next we have Drummer Bennett talking about two of the databases within the Office of Information and Analysis.
Thank you. So Greg mentioned too, and on the agenda it's too, SWAMP and CEDEN, and as I'll show in my presentation, SWAMP feeds into CEDEN, and so that's how it's the two different databases, but this presentation is really focused on CEDEN as a whole. So here's the kind of definition of CEDEN, but basically it's a surface water ambient water quality database, and it takes data from many different sources and aggregates it to make it accessible to environmental managers and the public. I need to move this. One of the important things about CEDEN is that it's now designated as where available, readily available data are for the Clean Water Act 303D assessments, and which creates the impaired water bodies list. So as I mentioned, SWAMP feeds CEDEN. We also have 4 regional data centers throughout the state that grant holders, some permittees that we regulate, and other monitoring programs feed into, and then those databases get replicated into CEDEN in a weekly process, and that's how CEDEN gets fed. And here's a little diagram showing that the people on the left are the data providers, and they, as I said, provide data to the RDC databases, and so we have the Central Valley RDC, the SWAMP, essentially SWAMP acts as an RDC in itself, the surface water ambient monitoring program that we run here out of the water boards. ML is Moss Landing Marine Laboratories, that's a Central Coast RDC. SWRCB, or the Southern California Coastal Water Research Project, covers the Southern California area, and SFEI, or San Francisco Estuary Institute RDC, covers the Bay Area, and they've expanded their area into the North Coast and some of the northeastern part of the state as well. And so during this weekly replication process, those databases replicate and then go into CEDEN to all be presented together. The types of data that CEDEN holds are chemistry, toxicity, tissue, benthic, and habitat data. And when you get data out, the chemistry selection displays both field data and laboratory chemistry data. You also have the option of getting out QA data, and I'll highlight that area when I get to further along in my screenshots. If you want to get data out of CEDEN, you can go to CEDEN.org and click on the Find Data button. And here is a screenshot of our query tool, and up at the top red box highlighted there is the key, one of the key boxes. A lot of people miss it, but that's where you define which category of data that you want to find data for. Then there are a number of filter criteria there in the middle, and down the oval at the bottom is where you check whether you want to also receive the QA data along with the other data you're querying. And the email feature is that if your query results in over 60,000 results, you'll be prompted to enter your email address, and you'll get an email indicating when your data are ready. It's usually just a couple minutes that you have to wait, but it is a separate process for larger data sets. In order to use the filter criteria, this screenshot shows that after you've selected one of those blue buttons, those expand. The drop-down menus become a pick list, so you can select multiple values by holding down your control button and then pushing the done button when you're picked as many or selected as many criteria as you want from that specific drop-down menu. It also has a feature to map your stations. Stations are your monitoring locations, and so you can select to show those, to get those represented on a map. And then if you select a specific point, you have the option to see a kind of a brief summary of what's going on at that station. It'll list the parameters, the date range for which those parameters were sampled, and a result count. So if you really need a large data set, you can maybe not waste your time on something that only has a result count of 1 or something. And so it just gives you a little bit of metadata before you really dig into the data itself. As I mentioned, if you have a large data set, there's the email feature, and the screenshot on the top box shows that what you get to enter your email address and to retrieve your data. And then you just get your results in which you can open it. And it's just tables of data depending on how much data you queried for. As Greg talked about, and Patrick did as well, some of the data sets from CEDEN will be available on greengov.data.ca.gov by April 1st. We are also sending data to EPA's STORET system, which stands for Storage and Retrieval System. And once it's there, it is made available on the National Water Quality Portal. And we just started that process earlier this year, so we don't have a huge set of data up there yet. We're still trying to resolve some of the crosswalking and vocabulary issues that were brought up earlier within the question. And now we're in the development of web services. That was also mentioned earlier with a grant we received from EPA, and we're hoping that through the development of web services in this project, we'll be able to leverage what we've learned to make web services available from our other systems that you're hearing about today. And so Greg was asking us to say why we think the data systems are important, and for CEDEN, what came to mind is the proof is in the pudding. We're here to protect water quality, and so the water quality data that you can find in CEDEN, I see that as the pudding where the proof is. So if you have any information or any questions, you can call me. And we also have a CEDEN user group that we generally we hold monthly meetings remotely, and are happy to include other people. You can email ceden@waterboards.ca.gov to become a part of that. And do we have time for questions, or should we move on?
Anyone have a really hot question over there?
How do CEDEN and SWRCB interact?
Right now, they don't interact. We want them to interact. We recently made some improvements to SWRCB so that it could handle, so it could accept additional fields that are needed within CEDEN to become a complete record. So we're find a technical data flow so that data uploaded to SWRCB can go through some of the checks that we have in the CEDEN data checker. So with CEDEN, you fill out templates so that we have data in a standard format in order to upload your data. The data can be uploaded to one of the RDC databases. So there's a certain format you have to use, certain vocabulary you have to use, certain business rules that have to be followed, and we have a checker that complies with those rules. And so we don't want people submitting data to ESMR, the ESMR module of SWRCB, to be able to submit data that don't follow those necessary rules in CEDEN. So we have to find a way to either copy those same checks into SWRCB, or when you upload your file into SWRCB, have it route to our checker. So we have some difficulties there, but we're working through those. We're concurrently working on our crosswalk of vocabulary. Again, an issue that was brought up earlier, definitely a big one. So we hope within this calendar year we will be there so that people don't have to submit their data 2 different times if they want it to both be in compliance with their permit and to be assessed for the 303 D list.
Okay, thank you very much. For more questions, find her at the data station. So next I have the GeoTracker folks and GeoTracker Gamma. That's Aaron Button and Matt Cohn from Division of Water Quality.
Hi, I'm Matt Cohen. I work in the cleanup section in the Division of Water Quality.
Aaron Button. I work in the GeoTracker Gamma unit. We're both geologists. Been doing this for quite a while, so let's go ahead and get started. Presentation overview. Basically, we'll talk large, general, broad characteristics of both the sites. Available information. Basically, explain the difference between the two. Explain that there's really not a large difference, but they kind of interact and display information separately. Information accessibility, so how you as a user will either visualize, extract the information, and then just talk basically about some things we're thinking about, future modifications, to give you guys an idea of that.
So in GeoTracker, we have regulated sites and permitted facilities, and a lot of groundwater wells, locations.
Yeah, the well location information it is included in various data downloads, or if you visually see it. They range from the actual location to a half mile to within a mile, so it kind of just depends on the data set that you're actually looking at. Groundwater chemical information is obviously shared between the two of the systems. we share with GeoTracker as well as a variety of 6 to 7 other systems. We show that chemical information. Groundwater elevation data is also shared between GeoTracker, GeoTracker Gamma, as well as we have some information from the Department of Water Resources with the CASGEM and the Water Data Library. And then we'll basically, in general, some soil boring information, and that kind of includes just shares with the GeoTracker related sites, site cleanup, and all that information is displayed and available for data download. So quickly, data standardization is pretty important in our world with GeoTracker, GeoTracker Gamma, and what it does is it allows the user to download the information and to view them all, comparing apples to apples. And the example of that would be nitrate versus NO3 versus N. It's a thing we convert it. It's converted on the back end, and then that way, whether you have information that is uploaded into the system of N or NO3, you'll view those in the same platform. If you have any other questions, it's pretty in-depth, and we can talk about that later.
So there's 2 sides. We have the GeoTracker side. The GeoTracker side is site-based. It's a geo-referenced relational database, and it's generally used for site management. We store reports, we store information, and from the public side, you come and you look at a site or an area, and you can kind of see what's around that area.
And so GeoTracker Gamma basically takes some of that information, actually a majority of that information. You can see the arrow is kind of a one-way deal. It takes groundwater quality information and, like I said, water level information, and geospatially displays it in the system along with various other data sets. So it's more of a point-specific type research base if you want large data downloads. It's a really good way to visually display various types of information. It uses a Google background, so we're all really familiar with Google. We know how to search in it and whatnot, so it's pretty intuitive. So getting started, 2 links to each site. They're relatively similar. One's \gamma, the other one is not. Entering address, basically any searching function that you guys are familiar with, is the way that you will get to your specific location. It's pretty flexible. So information can be usually displayed, or you can interact with it a couple different ways. The first one is spatially in front of you, what you see on the map. The second way is you can actually download that information through various tools and views, which we'll go through.
So in GeoTracker, along with looking at the map for specific sites, we also have quite a few canned reports. You can see that here. So this is on the public side of GeoTracker.
So basic idea, and I apologize just due to time, we could spend a lot of time on these, but I wanted to give you guys an accurate screenshot and a representation of what these look like, so you can go home and practice this stuff and show it to your kids or whatever else sounds entertaining. But this is kind of what you'll see and how the information is displayed. This is in specific to groundwater chemical data. Like I said, it's a compilation of various data sets, a large one coming from the GeoTracker database. Mentioned already as well, this is what it looks like, depth water information. Not too much to focus on here, but it's available on the screen as well as in data export. So there's various filters in the 2 systems. You're more than welcome to talk a little bit about these if you want anything specific, but in general, it's based on just a GIS layer, GIS representation, various different tweaks on that where you can actually just view and extract that information and do what you would like to do with it. This is the well construction information. Pretty interesting if you dive down and actually look into it. Majority of this information is from GeoTracker, project-related sites, cleanup, and if you have any questions like that, we can go over that after this as well. So data download. This is very consistent with the 2. Information can, like I said, either be visually displayed or you can actually download the data if you are much more apt than I am and you can use GIS to some degree more than me. This is the great place to do it. You can start with the data, manipulate it, reconstruct your queries however you'd like to do Just an idea of how that would kind of look if you were in the system and you did want to download specific information based upon a specific layer. This is what you would look at. The information is displayed, only the information that's been filtered, and then you can extract that information.
So we can download, we have all the canned reports, and we can download, export a lot of those to Excel. We also have sort of larger data dumps where we can look at sort of unfiltered data, and then this is an example of how you can filter the data visually on the map, come up with what you want, and then export that as well. The same thing, continuing on filtering by county. We can do radius searches based on, what's within a radius. We can adjust that radius. More on radius search.
Yeah, basically the two essence of these pictures are that you can switch back and forth if you want quality information, if you want depth of water information, if you just want to look at your location information. You can go back and forth between the two. Water quality summary, basically just a real quick snapshot in time and what generalized groundwater looks like. It's a report that we pre-generate. It's available right now on a county-wide basis, and it gives you a generalized breakdown, if you want to go to the next slide, of groups of chemicals. So these groups of chemicals are ones that we put together in some other projects that we work on within the GAMA program. But in general, it breaks it down between high, moderate, and low concentrations. And then when you're in the system, you can select it. It'll take you to another page which will actually show you the breakdown of each contaminant and what percentages they make up within this group. So this is a more specific groundwater quality over time graph that you can view to get an idea of concentrations. This is also available, I believe is available for depth of water as well, so that gives you an idea. So just briefly, I just kind of wanted to put this in everybody's minds, future modifications. I think this says two things. It says that we're really open to, if you guys have thoughts, feedback on anything like this, we take that serious, and we do consider that information when we design and redesign and come up with new tools and functions for you guys to use. I think right now, full disclosure, we're really in the process of kind of looking at how, at least on the GeoTracker Gamma side, the menu's completed, compiled, and viewed, so we can make it a little bit more intuitive. So kind of guides you guys through the actual query with a little bit more intuitive mindset. And then we're in the process of working on some additional canned data reports and tools to bring a little bit more utility base as opposed to a research base to the data set. So beyond that, Matt, I don't know if you have anything else. I know we're pretty close on time, but if you guys have any questions, write them down, save them up. You can email us. Our contact information is on the next slide, and we have a series of a lot of cards with us. We will shortly that we can provide to you guys with, so you can save it all up and write it all down. So thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's keep it. So they have cards, but they don't have stickers. Stickers, if you didn't get one, there's a few over on the table over there, but Eric Burrs has a bunch too. You might have to talk to him about science stuff, though. So one other quick housekeeping thing, there's a sign-up sheet somewhere over there for, not that it's exclusive, but it's a club, a data visualization club. So if you work for the water board, or if you're downtown, you're willing to come over on your lunchtime or whatever, we're not going to discriminate against non-water board people, but it's meant to be a sign-up for R, like if you want to get into R, Tableau, Jump is the other software that we're going to look into, so sign up over there. And then, okay, so we have two more data sets real quick. So the next one up is Drinking Water Program. Mark Emerson from the Division of Drinking Water is here to talk about their data sets.
Okay, just push it. For those who don't know me, so much the better is your state of grace. I am Mark Emerson. I work as a research scientist with the Division of Drinking Water, and I came from public health. Our program moved about a year and a half ago from public health, where every data source was closed. I mean, you couldn't get anything. You had to give your rights to your firstborn. gallon of blood, and even then you had to sign that non-disclosure agreement for anything, even within the department. So this is interesting, coming to an open data source. I'm the kind of guy that views everything open, and you only close those things which are not public record available. But that's just me. How do I make this thing go? Push it.
Hit escape now.
Pardon?
Hit escape, and then spacebar should take you to the next slide.
Spacebar. Like this. There are 4 data sets of interest here, and I'm going to go over each one of them. We have SDWIS, which is a federal system, electronic annual report that consists of operational data of various water systems within the state, of which there are about 8,000 active water systems. The Water Quality Master, all the information dealing with sample results of water coming into or being distributed, raw water and finished water sources going out to the public, and conservation drought reports, timely. Every month the board looks at information dealing with conservation. Okay, we look at SDWIS. It is a monstrosity, federally designed, consisting of around 75 tables, indexed, relational, many-to-many relationships. Unless you have the application and a SQL backend, it's very, very difficult to run things with that. It's largely undocumented, and it's designed for our 24 offices, field staff, to go ahead and regulate the water systems within the state. However, there's one saving grace, is that if you have a question about a water system, you can go to Drinking Water Watch, pick out the system, and you can get a fairly good characterization of the water system, including contacts and number of wells, population served, and so forth. There is no lat-long data available in any of these data sets for outside use. For some reason, either in regulation or statute, I don't know where it is, but we're prohibited from giving that actual geolocation of the facilities. These include wells, intake sources, interties, and it's a security legacy thing that we've had for I don't know how long. But anyway, the lat-long is not available. We do feed it to other systems. For example, GeoTracker Gamma uses a large number of the systems, the 4 systems that we have, and we do provide that to them. They blur it out a little bit, though. Annual reports. This is operational data from about 2011 to the current year of maybe 4,000 to 5,000 water systems who have elected to report. A lot of these 8,000 systems say, nah, we're not going to be doing that. But we have it all electronically. So you can see the production data they did, the percent that went to agriculture versus landscaping and so forth for all of these different water systems that reported. It's 1 year in arrear, meaning to say we're just finishing up with we're right in the middle of our 2015 cycle. So we're obtaining all the information for 2015 currently, and that'll be done in June. But we do have 2011 and 2014 available now. Water Quality Master, this is about 30 million records dealing with all the sample results that have been sent to environmental health laboratories, and the results come back. It shows what the level was. It shows we have the detection limits for that particular sample, and so forth. What can I say? It is a very valuable piece of information. If you look at these graphs here, if you go to the website, I have a rogue website that's been inherited and transferred over from public health, but I've got a couple of applications running. You can go ahead and pull out all the data, if you wanted to, for a water system. All the sample results from 2006 to the present is available online. You just put in, for example, Carmichael Water District, boom, you'll get all that data. You can cut and paste, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, and you've got it. So that's available from a search mechanism right now. The bottom one is an internal one that we use, and that, for example, is fluoride. Where we have fluoride levels that go above the maximum contamination level. And internally we're able to go ahead and generate, whether it be lead or perchlorate or hexchrome or, non-topical things where we can generate to see what either raw water or finished water looks in relation to that maximum contamination level. Conservation drought reports, timely thing. Right now we have monthly reports that have been provided to us from the 410 largest urban water suppliers. They provide production information, the percentage of that went to residential use, some other information such as penalties assessed and reductions in the amount that they reduced compared with 2013. This is where we have that 25%, where we have to meet that 25% goal. Well, this is the system that tracks all of that. Also on drink.ca.gov, if you wanted to get the reduction, cumulative reduction by a water system, and also looking at the residential gallons per capita day as compared with the 2013, that's available for query also on this website. Availability. Right now I've got 3 things that are available right now, or 4 things. The WQM is available from the Water Board site. I am going to put it into a access database. There's 30 million records with some relational tables. You'll be able to download the entire thing and make your own graphs. Conservation drought reports are currently available from a download site that we have, both on the Water Board site and from the site drink.ca.gov. SDWIS is available upon request, and I plan to go ahead and take the principal tables of that, put them into an access data file, and make that available also. And that's about it. You can get in touch with me whenever you want. This is a really neat cartoon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Mark will be available at his station in about 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes.
I have a question for you, actually.
Okay.
During a number of these talks, I heard people mention Excel and Access, and all this proprietary software, SQL Server. Why can't you not move towards open software like Postgres, or just text files, CSV files that would just enable us to use non-proprietary software for analysis?
So the question was, why can't we use non-proprietary formats or software in our data availability for the flat file kind of stuff? The answer is that these are essentially text files or CSV delimited or tab delimited files that would be importable to any other spreadsheet system that I can think of. But yeah, and the Access database. So Mark is new to the family. So the water boards just grew a lot last year by absorbing the drinking water program. Another thing I didn't want to do was impact their program with this open data effort. So what I'd like to do next year and over the next year is work with Mark to get some of those cool available products loaded to the Socrata platform and then automate that. So one of the things I didn't mention is GovOps is providing a middleware service that would allow us to replicate the process so that every time we reformat and et cetera, we get to save the metadata and all that other stuff and just drop the new data in and even scrape it and do it on a regular basis. So the goal is to start with 12 data sets and then expand and get drinking water data sets, ERIMS data sets, other data sets, all sort of on this open data platform. Because once it's there, what you're asking for is not only much easier, but there's a lot of interoperability that can be done right on the platform too. So good question. I think we're aiming toward, but again, water rights and drinking water, I didn't bother them because I wanted to get some start going without impacting the high priority programs in the water board. So one more showcase, and then we'll break for lunch. So the next one is GIS and mapping products. We have Stephanie Buckland from the Division of Information Technology.
All right, so I'm Stephanie Bucknam. I'm part of the GIS unit here at the Water Board. So I'm just going to quickly show you basically where to find our online maps, some examples of our maps, as well as how to find some of our GIS services so you can use our data in your own maps. So where are our maps located? They're typically located on their respective program pages throughout the website. So in order to create a more centralized place, we actually have a Water Board data map page available from our home page right here. So that icon will take you directly to a list of most of our available maps. So some examples of our online maps are the 2012 303D through 5B integrated report map. This is available on our website at this URL, which is also linked on the data map page. You can zoom around, navigate the map, click on any particular water body. You can find out what pollutants have been assessed for that water body. You can zoom to specific regions. It's a very dynamic map with a lot of filters and options available. It's also, we can also provide the data as a downloadable geodatabase. We have a service available, and it's all available here on the data download tab. So GeoTracker was just covered previously in a previous presentation, but again, it's another map where you can navigate around, click on sites, find out more about that site, and it'll link you to other information. You can zoom into a particular location, you can turn layers on and off, and interact with the map that way. And again, another system that was also demonstrated was a sewer overflows map. And again, it's a very similar situation where you can turn on layers, you can filter by date, go to a particular street address, and click on any site for more information about it. So this is our Integrated Regional Water Management Grant Map. And this map actually just has information about allocation of grant funds related to Prop 50. So again, you can navigate around, click on particular locations, find out more about a particular grant. My Water Quality Map. So we have the My Water Quality portal, and this has many, many different maps available. I'm just showing a couple examples here. They provide answers to questions like, can I eat fish or shellfish caught in my lake, stream, or ocean location? Or is it safe to swim in our waters? And these maps are also dynamic, and they allow you to navigate around the state and click to learn more about beach closures, fish consumption advisories, beneficial use impairments, and that sort of information, water quality related information. So in addition to the maps available online, we have the data layers behind the maps available as GIS services. So that means that you can actually go in and load our data layers to your own maps in your own software. And so those of you that are familiar with GIS know that we use Esri, our GIS technology. So we are tied to the ArcGIS and ArcGIS JavaScript API platform. But we also have our information available as OGC web mapping services, which essentially means you can use third-party software, open source software to access our data as well. So our public GIS service portal is available at gispublic.waterboards.ca.gov. I also have a handout that you can come by and pick up. This has the URL to our data map index as well as the URL to this and our contact information. So you don't have to write it down. So essentially, this is our main page, and it has all our data is organized into folders. So we have administrative data that would be like regional board boundaries and office information, areas of biological significance. We also have water quality, water rights, et cetera, the water quality monitoring council maps as well. So all of the data layers that I've demonstrated previously also are available as services. So once you drill down into a folder, that's going to list everything that's available. And we've touched on a lot of these data sets previously. So you have the CSCI scores, impaired waters, nitrate impacted wells, IRWM grant projects, et cetera. All of those services are available in these folders. And then when you click on a particular service, you can then drill down into the description and metadata for that particular service. And it includes your extent information, the description. If you scroll down, there's some attribute information, so what fields come across with the data. And it's also, this is where you would link with your web services, so your web mapping services and web feature services. So that's what you would link to for API connectivity. And so for those of you who also use Google products, we also have a KML generation link available. So you just click on this link, you fill out some information, and it'll provide you with a KML file that you can then load into your Google products. So in addition, we're in the process of loading a lot of these maps to ArcGIS Online as well, so you can integrate them in ArcGIS Online if you have an account there. You can search by owner. SWRCB_HQ is our user where we're posting a lot of these maps. We only have a few posted right now, but we're in the process of loading more. And if there's something that you need for a project, always feel free to contact us. Shoot us an email at gis@waterboards.ca.gov, and if there's a service that we haven't moved to the platform that you would like to use, we'll do our best to accommodate that request. We also can provide shapefiles, geodatabases. You just have to shoot us an email and ask. It doesn't hurt to ask. We'll do our best to provide whatever you need. So that's a quick roundup of what we have available, and you feel free to go on the website, explore it further. If you have questions, email us. We would be happy to help you. Again, it's open data. It's not just unidirectional. We don't know necessarily what you need until you tell us. So please ask. We are here for you.
Stu, do you have a question?
We currently have an internal GIS work group available, but that's something that we could think about putting together. If there are some state and city and local GIS user groups that we do attend, and typically if we have some new information, we provide at those user groups. So if you have questions about that, you can come find me in the back, and I'll give you more information about that. Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie. Awesome stuff. So that's the end of the showcasing of our data sets for today.